Welcome to the Leviathan Raid. We are at the Gauntlet. The basic premise of the Gauntlet is for 2 runners to make it through the Gauntlet 3 times. The rest of the fire team opens up the obstacle course for the Guardians to run through. And the first phase is to kill the ads until the yellow bar pumps out. Once the yellow bar comes out from each plate, he has to be killed in order to allow the runners to enter the gauntlet and start the run. The plates go from dog to sun to chalice to axe. The runners start on dog and chalice, and then the rest of the fire team is split up amongst the other 2 doors. This is the yellow bar that has to be destroyed in order to start the gauntlet run. The gauntlet does have to be ran by the runners 3 times in order for the last phase to start, in which all 6 guardians will run on the last run the 4th time. Now inside the gauntlet, the runner is going to identify the symbol and the row that he needs to go through, and that is going to correlate with what needs to be shot on the outside. Now the row that's going to be called out correlates with the ring that the guardian has to go through, and that ring will be a red circle as opposed to the other ones that are a different color. Once the runner gets through, the runner is going to run to the middle room and slam the orb on the plate in the center. The slamming will happen automatically once the runner gets there, and then it's got to be done 2 more times before the final phase, in which all 6 guardians run it together. So clear ads again and do it all over. Now, during round 2 and 3, part of the floor is going to drop out of the bottom, so be careful for the holes, otherwise everything else stays the same. Now, while the 2 runners are running the gauntlet, the rest of the guardians will be outside opening up the obstacles for them. One of the common strategies for this is the dedicated plate strategy, where each plate has 1 guardian assigned to it, and each guardian has a dedicated top or bottom arrow that they are shooting based off of the call out of the runner. Whatever row the runner calls on each symbol is the arrow that corresponds to the one not being shot. So if the runner calls the top arrow, that means only the middle and the bottom arrow are being shot. Once the runner clears the gate, a scion will appear with a shield around him. The guardian who is standing in front of that gate is tasked with running down and meleeing that scion. Otherwise, if the scion is not meleeed, the whole team will be forced to wipe. Once the scion is clear, the guardian will get into position to shoot the next arrow. You do not have to be on the plate to shoot your next arrow. The teams are typically broken up into dog and sun and chalice and axe. That will be significant to a later part of the raid. Consider this training for that section, because that grouping is going to be important once you get to Callus. Now on the third round for the Guardians outside of the Gauntlet who are running the gates and shooting the arrows, the only thing that changes about this on the third round is your plate is going to move up and down, which is going to make it slightly harder to shoot your arrow accurately, but not too bad. Other than that, everything else is the same. Your Scion still pops out in front of the gate. You still have to go and melee it. And once the Guardians finish running the Gauntlet, you're going to move on to where all 6 of you have to run. So once the last orb is slammed, an orb is going to pop out for each Guardian. Each Guardian is going to grab an orb and be transported into the Gauntlet. The most common strategy is for the runners to either take gates 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, and everyone else takes the opposite gate of whatever the runners are taking. So if the runners are taking 1 and 3, everybody else is taking 2 and 4. If the runners are taking 2 and 4, everybody else is grabbing the 1 and 3. There is an orb that spawns on each gate. You have to grab the orb to extend your time in order for you to make the entire length of the Gauntlet. The floor drops out after the second gate, and then you've got to dodge the holes again as well. You need 3 people to make it through the Gauntlet if you did each section as a clean run on runs 1 through 3. If you lost any of the runners during any of the other 3 phases, you need 1 more Guardian for each Guardian that you lost to clear the last phase in order to pass. So if you lost 1 Guardian on one phase, you need 4 to make it at the end. If you lost 2 Guardians on rounds 1 and 2, you need 5 to make it, and so on and so forth. Once all the Guardians have made it on the last phase that you require, then you are done with the Gauntlet section, and then you move on to whatever is next for the raid.